The memo is dated March 28th, printed on Apex financial letterhead, marked confidential, executive eyes only, subject. Whistleblower resolution, final action. Robert Hayes finds it in the CEO's trash at 11:47 p.m. on April 2nd, 5 days after it was written. 2 days after Marcus Webb died. Robert's been a night janitor for 23 years. He knows how to read corporate language. Whistleblower means someone's about to expose secrets. Resolution means they're going to stop it. Final action means permanent. The memo is 3 paragraphs. First paragraph. Marcus Webb, junior analyst, has documentation proving Apex Financial committed securities fraud, hid $47 million in losses from shareholders. Fabricated earnings reports. Webb plans to go to the SEC next week. Second paragraph. Initial strategy, discredit Webb. Plant evidence of mental instability, rumors of drug use, questions about his judgment. Make him unemployable, unbelievable. Third paragraph. If discreditation fails, authorize permanent resolution. Make it look accidental or self-inflicted. Consulting with external contractors. Timeline. Within 48 hours, the memo is signed. CEO, CFO, head of legal, 3 signatures authorizing murder. And on March 30th, exactly 48 hours later, Marcus Webb committed suicide. Jumped from his 8th-floor apartment balcony. Police found a note. Depression, work stress, case closed, except Robert's holding the murder plan. And Robert, 62 years old, 3 years from pension, has to decide. Be the invisible janitor who empties trash and asks no questions, or be the witness who brings down a multi-billion-dollar company and loses everything in the process. Robert folds the memo carefully, puts it in his pocket, finishes cleaning the 38th floor, goes home, doesn't sleep. The next night, Robert returns to work. The elevator doors open on the 38th floor. Someone's waiting. Not the CEO, not security. Someone Robert's never seen. Someone who says, "You found something that doesn't belong to you. We need it back." Robert realizes, corporate surveillance doesn't end when you leave the building. They've been watching. They know. And now Robert's not invisible anymore. Now he's a target. The Apex Financial building rose 42 stories above the financial district. Glass and steel reflecting the city lights like a monument to wealth. Built in 2003, renovated in 2015. Home to 3,000 employees during the day. At night, it belonged to Robert Hayes. Robert Hayes, 62 years old, had been the night janitor for 23 years. Started when he was 39, after his construction job dried up and his back couldn't handle manual labor anymore. Janitorial work was steady, benefits, union, and if you worked nights, you didn't have to deal with people. Robert preferred not dealing with people. His shift started at 10 p.m. He'd clock in at the service entrance, basement level, where the maintenance staff had their lockers and break room. Change into his uniform, navy blue coveralls with Apex Janitorial Services embroidered on the pocket. Load his cart with supplies. Take the service elevator up. 42 floors. Robert cleaned them all. Working from top to bottom. Start at 42. Mostly conference rooms and executive meeting spaces. Work down through the numbered floors. Offices, cubicles, break rooms, bathrooms. Each floor took approximately 45 minutes. The building was empty by 8 p.m. most nights. Security did rounds every 2 hours. Otherwise, Robert worked alone. 23 years of solitude. 23 years of fluorescent lights humming in empty corridors. 23 years of seeing things people left behind. Robert had learned to be invisible. Employees during the day barely acknowledged him. He was the janitor. Necessary but forgettable. He trained himself not to read documents on desks, not to look at computer screens, not to remember conversations he overheard. Invisible people survived by not knowing too much, but 23 years of cleaning offices meant 23 years of trash cans. And trash cans told stories people thought were buried. April 2nd, Tuesday night, 11:34 p.m. Robert pushed his cart onto the 38th floor, executive suite. Corner offices with floor-to-ceiling windows, mahogany furniture. Art that cost more than Robert made in a year. CEO's office. Theodore Kane, 58, Harvard MBA, 20-year veteran of Apex Financial. His office occupied the northwest corner. Best view, biggest space. Robert had cleaned this office thousands of times. Same routine. Empty the trash. Vacuum the carpet. Wipe down the desk. Clean the private bathroom. Don't touch anything personal. Don't look at anything confidential. But tonight, something was different. The trash can, usually empty except for coffee cups and food wrappers, was half full of shredded paper. Someone had used the office shredder recently, but one document hadn't been shredded. It sat on top of the shredded pieces, folded once. Robert's training said, "Don't look. Empty the trash. Move on." But something made him pause. The document was printed on Apex letterhead, marked confidential, in red at the top. Robert picked it up, unfolded it. Read, Memo. Date, March 28, 2024. To Theodore Kane, CEO. Patricia Morrison, CFO. James Chun, Head of Legal. From Theodore Kane. Whistleblower resolution, final action. Classification. Confidential. Executive eyes only. Situation. Junior Analyst Marcus Webb, Employee ID 47823, has obtained documentation proving Apex Financial committed securities fraud in Q4 2023. Webb has evidence showing we concealed $47 million in losses from shareholders and fabricated earnings reports filed with SEC. Webb informed supervisor of intent to file whistleblower complaint with SEC by April 5th. Initial strategy: implemented discreditation campaign, planted rumors of mental instability, fabricated performance reviews citing erratic behavior, leaked information suggesting substance abuse. Goal: render Webb unemployable and unbelievable before SEC contact. Contingency: if discreditation insufficient, authorize permanent resolution. External contractors consulted. Timeline: 48 hours from date of this memo. Make event appear accidental or self-inflicted. Ensure no connection to Apex Financial. Authorization: all parties listed above must sign to authorize contingency plan implementation. Signatures: Theodore Kane, so signed. Patricia Morrison, CFO, signed. James Chun, Head of Legal, signed. Robert's hands shook. He read it again, then a third time. March 28th. That was 5 days ago. Marcus Webb. Robert knew that name. Remembered seeing it in the news 2 days ago. April Fool's Day felt like terrible irony now. Financial analyst dies in apparent suicide. Marcus Webb, 28, junior analyst at Apex Financial, jumped from his 8th-floor apartment balcony on March 30th. Police found a suicide note citing depression and work-related stress. No foul play suspected. 48 hours after this memo, exactly as planned, Robert stood in the empty CEO's office, holding evidence of premeditated murder. His first instinct: put it back, pretend he never saw it, be invisible. His second instinct: take it, report it, do the right thing. His third instinct: think about the consequences. Robert was 62, 3 years from retirement. His pension vested at 65, full benefits, healthcare, enough to live on. He'd worked 23 years for that pension, survived budget cuts, management changes, union negotiations. 3 more years. Reporting this meant becoming visible, becoming a witness, becoming someone Apex Financial wanted silenced. And if they'd killed Marcus Webb, a junior analyst with everything to lose, they'd certainly kill a janitor with nothing to gain. Robert folded the memo carefully, put it in his uniform pocket, finished cleaning the office, emptied the shredder contents into his trash bag, destroyed the shredded documents, vacuumed the carpet, wiped the desk, made everything look normal. Then he pushed his cart to the service elevator and went home. Robert lived in a studio apartment in the industrial district. 15-minute bus ride from work. Rent controlled. $800 a month. He'd lived there for 18 years. He sat at his small kitchen table. The memo spread in front of him. Read it again under the harsh kitchen light. 3 signatures. CEO, CFO, head of legal, all authorizing murder. Robert pulled out his phone, Googled Marcus Webb Apex Financial. Articles came up. Local news coverage. Troubled analyst takes own life. Friends shocked by apparent suicide. Apex Financial mourns loss of promising employee. Promising employee. They killed him and then mourned him publicly. Robert found Marcus Webb's LinkedIn profile. Photo showed a young man, Asian, smiling, professional headshot. Education. UC Berkeley Economics. Work history. 2 years at Apex Financial. Junior analyst, corporate accounting division. Robert clicked through to Marcus's other social media. Facebook showed a normal life. Photos with friends, hiking trips, concert attendance. No signs of depression, no indication of mental instability. Just a 28-year-old who discovered his employer was committing fraud and decided to report it, and died 48 hours after the memo authorized his murder. Robert looked at the memo again. External contractors consulted. That meant professional killers, hitmen, people who made murder look like accident or suicide. Which meant, if Robert reported this, he'd be next. They'd know he had the memo. They'd use the same contractors. And Robert, 62, living alone, no family, no one who'd question his accident, would disappear quietly. 3 more years until pension. Robert just needed to stay invisible for 3 more years. He folded the memo, put it in a kitchen drawer under old utility bills, and tried to sleep. Didn't work. April 3rd. Wednesday, 9:47 p.m. Robert clocked in for his shift. Everything seemed normal. Security guard, Jerome, worked nights for 5 years, nodded at Robert. Evening, Robert. Evening. Robert loaded his cart, took the service elevator up to the 42nd floor, started his routine, but something felt wrong. Robert had worked this building for 23 years. He knew its rhythms, knew when something was off. Tonight felt off. He finished the 42nd floor, moved to 41, then 40, then 39, 11:34 p.m. Time for the 38th floor. Executive suite. Robert pushed his cart off the elevator. The corridor lights were on as usual. Offices dark behind closed doors. But at the end of the hall, near the CEO's office, someone stood, waiting. Not Theodore Kane, not security. A man Robert had never seen. 40s, expensive suit, calm posture. He looked at Robert with the focused attention of someone who'd been waiting specifically for him. "Robert Hayes," the man said. Not a question, a confirmation. Robert's stomach dropped. "Can I help you?" "I think you can." The man smiled without warmth. "My name is David Miller. I handle sensitive issues for Apex Financial. Last night, you cleaned the CEO's office. Is that correct?" "I clean every night." "Of course, but last night specifically. Did you find anything unusual? A document, perhaps?" Robert's mind raced. "Play dumb. Stay invisible. Just the usual trash. Coffee cups, paper, David Miller's smile didn't change. Mr. Hayes, let me be direct. The CEO's office has a security system you're unaware of. Motion sensors, cameras, we monitor valuable spaces. Last night, video shows you picking up a document from the trash can, reading it, and placing it in your pocket. We need that document returned. Robert's blood went cold. They'd been watching. They knew. I don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Hayes, you're 62 years old. 23 years of service. Excellent record. 3 years from full pension. It would be unfortunate if something jeopardized that retirement. The threat was clear. Comply or lose everything. The document, David continued, contains confidential corporate strategy. It's proprietary information. You removing it constitutes theft. Apex Financial could press charges. Or, he paused, you could return the document tonight, and we'll consider the matter closed. Your pension remains intact. Your job continues. You remain invisible. Robert understood. Return the memo, stay quiet, survive, or refuse, and become the next Marcus Webb. I need to think, Robert said carefully. You have until midnight. That's... David checked his watch. 26 minutes. I'll wait here. Robert pushed his cart back to the service elevator. His hand shook. In the basement, in the janitor's break room, Robert sat at the metal table. 26 minutes to decide. Option 1. Return the memo. Keep his job. Keep his pension. Stay alive. Let Marcus Webb's murder go unpunished. Option 2. Keep the memo. Report it. Bring down Apex Financial. Lose his pension. Possibly lose his life. Robert thought about Marcus Webb, 28 years old. Tried to do the right thing. Got killed for it. Robert thought about himself. 62 years old. Invisible for 23 years. 3 years from the finish line. What was Marcus Webb's life worth? What was justice worth? What was Robert's silence worth? Robert pulled out his phone. Dialed 911. 911. What's your emergency? My name is Robert Hayes. I'm a janitor at the Apex Financial Building. I have evidence of a murder. A man named Marcus Webb. They said it was suicide, but it wasn't. I have the memo that proves it. Pause. Sir, can you repeat that? Robert did. Gave his location. Gave his name. Stayed on the line. Officers are en route. Stay where you are. Robert hung up. Looked at the clock. 11:58 p.m. 2 minutes past David Miller's deadline. Robert took the service elevator back to the 38th floor. David Miller still waited. His expression changed when he saw Robert's empty hands. You called the police, David said. Not a question. Unfortunate choice. Maybe, but I'm done being invisible. David reached inside his jacket. Robert saw the gun, but before David could pull it fully, the elevator dinged behind him. Security guard Jerome stepped off. Confused. Mr. Miller? What's going on? Robert. David hesitated. Witness. Couldn't shoot with witness present. Then another elevator dinged. Police, 2 officers, responding to Robert's call, stepped onto the floor. Apex Financial Building, 38th floor. One officer said into his radio, "We have the caller. Robert Hayes." "That's me," Robert said. David Miller's hand moved away from his jacket. Smiled again. "Officers, I'm David Miller, corporate security for Apex Financial. Mr. Hayes called about a concern. We're handling it internally." "Actually," Robert said, pulling the memo from his pocket, "I called because I have evidence of murder. Marcus Webb, junior analyst, died 2 days ago. This memo," he handed it to the officer, "proves it was planned, approved by the CEO, signed by executives. Marcus Webb was murdered because he was going to expose corporate fraud. The officer read the memo. His expression changed. "We'll need to take this as evidence, and we'll need statements from everyone involved." David Miller's smile finally disappeared. 6 hours later, dawn breaking, Robert sat in a police station giving his statement to Detective Ray Chandler. "You understand what you've done," Ray said. "Not accusatory, just factual. You've become the star witness in a corporate murder case. Apex Financial will come after you with everything they have. Lawyers, private investigators. They'll destroy your credibility. Your pension's probably gone. Your job's definitely gone." "I know. Why'd you do it?" Robert thought about that. Because Marcus Webb was 28, had his whole life, tried to do the right thing, and they killed him for it. "I'm 62. I've lived most of my life. If I can't do the right thing now, after 23 years of staying invisible, then what was the point?" Ray nodded. "There's a witness protection program. We can relocate you. New identity. You'd lose your pension, but you'd be safe." "No." Robert shook his head. "I'm done hiding. I was invisible for 23 years. Time to be seen." 3 months later, Apex Financial CEO, CFO, and head of legal were arrested for conspiracy to commit murder. David Miller, whose real name was Thomas Anders, professional fixer with connections to organized crime, was arrested for attempted murder of Robert Hayes. The case went to trial. Robert testified, handed over the memo, explained how he found it, described David Miller's threat, described 23 years of being invisible in a building where crimes were committed in plain sight. The memo was authenticated. Marcus Webb's suicide was reinvestigated. Evidence of staging was found. The external contractors were traced. Arrests followed arrests. All 3 executives were convicted. Apex Financial collapsed under the scandal. Shareholders sued. Federal investigations began. The building was sold. And Robert Hayes, the night janitor who'd been invisible for 23 years, became the most visible whistleblower in corporate crime history. He lost his job, lost his pension. Apex Financial's bankruptcy meant no retirement benefits, but Marcus Webb's family thanked him, got closure, got justice, and Robert, 62 years old, starting over, found work at a different building, different company, still night shift, still janitorial, but different now. Because Robert had learned something in that 38th floor hallway when he decided to call the police. Invisibility isn't protection, it's complicity. For 23 years, Robert had seen things and stayed quiet, stayed invisible, survived by not being noticed. But survival isn't the same as living. Marcus Webb had lived, briefly, tried to expose corruption, got killed for it, but he'd lived with integrity. Robert had survived 23 years, but he'd been invisible, a ghost in his own life. The night he found that memo, Robert had to choose: keep surviving as a ghost or start living as a person. He chose living. Cost him everything: his pension, his job, his invisibility. But Robert slept better now, worked the same shifts, cleaned the same offices, emptied the same trash cans. But when he found something wrong, a document, an email, evidence of harm, Robert didn't look away anymore. Because the night shift sees everything. And what you do with what you see, that defines who you are. Robert Hayes, 65 years old now, still works nights. Different building, different company, still invisible to most people. But Robert knows the truth. Invisible workers see everything. And sometimes being seen, being visible, is the most courageous thing you can do. The memo that started it all is in a police evidence locker. Marked Exhibit A. Commonwealth vs. Kane, Morrison Chun. Corporate murder. Premeditated. Documented. Signed. And stopped by a janitor who decided that some things matter more than pensions. The building empties at 8 p.m. The lights stay on. The elevators wait. And somewhere, a night janitor pushes a cart through empty corridors, seeing things others leave behind. What they do with what they see. That's the story. Robert Hayes chose to be visible. And in the fluorescent light of corporate corridors at midnight, that choice changed everything.